Good day everyone! For today's video, we are going to talk about John Dewey in the year 1920, one of the philosophical proponent of Progressivism. So, John Dewey was an American philosopher, a psychologist, and also an educational reformer whose ideas have been influential in education and social reform. As we continue to this discussion, we are able to know why is it that he became an educational reformer whose ideas have been influential, especially in our educational system today. So before we proceed, let's have first a short look up to the biography of John Dewey. John Dewey was born in Burlington, Vermont on October 20, 1859. He was a bright kid attending college at the University of Vermont at only 15 years old. At the University of Vermont, Dewey focused on the study of philosophy. Dewey graduated with his bachelor's degree in 1879. He then began his teaching career. He taught 2 years of high school in Oil City, PA, and 1 year of elementary school in Charlotte, Vermont. In the year 1884, Dewey received his PhD from Johns Hopkins University and immediately began his university teaching career at the University of Michigan. Dewey spent most of his early career there except for 1 year stint at the University of Minnesota. In the year 1894, Dewey left for the University of Chicago, where he would become a head of philosophy department. At the University of Chicago, Dewey would work to develop much of his viewpoints that have lasted for beyond his time. In 1904, Dewey would become a professor at Columbia University, where he would retire in 1930. Now, let's see now how does the philosophical view of John Dewey, which is the Progressivism. So, John Dewey is probably most famous of his role in what is called progressivist education or progressive education. Progressive education is essentially a view of education which emphasizes the need to learn by doing. So this philosophical view of John Dewey emphasizes that student must learn in an action by doing it in hands-on approach. So this places Dewey in educational philosophy of pragmatism. So pragmatists believe that reality must be experienced. From Dewey's educational point of view, this means that students must interact with their environment in order to adapt and learn. So this emphasizes that the philosophical view of John Dewey believed that students must learn in their environment by engaging their self and enhancing their capabilities in learning. So Dewey felt the same idea was true for teachers and that teachers and students must learn together. So this emphasizes that the teacher must learn from the student and also the student learn from the teacher based on the things that they need to learn. His view of the classroom was deeply rooted in democratic ideas, which promoted equal voice among all participants in the learning experience. So how do the philosophy of John Dewey reform the system of education, or how important of this philosophy in this time of our educational system? So, Dewey's pragmatic and democratic approach to schooling may not stand out as radical today, but in the early and mid-90s, his view of education was contradiction too much of then-present system of schooling. Dewey's approach was truly child-centered. A child-centered approach to education places the emphasis of learning on the needs and interests of the child. In Dewey's view, children should be allowed to explore the environment. So just to look at what I've said a while ago, that this philosopher believed that a children or a student or a learner can learn a lot of more of their potentials if they are going to engage themselves to the environment that they need to, for the reason that it will help them to enhance their abilities and capabilities of becoming a true learner. So also he believed in an interdisciplinary curriculum, or a curriculum that focuses on connecting multiple subjects, where students are allowed to freely move in and out of classrooms as they pursue their interests and construct their own paths for acquiring and applying knowledge. So this philosopher believed, or John Dewey believed, that it allows the students to freely move in and out of the classroom to do such experiments in developing their multiple intelligence depending on their special abilities or special skills of learning, such as critical thinking, problem solving, in art, in music, and in many different perspectives of their skills. So traditionally, we all know that a teacher would stand in front of a group of students who are all sitting in a rows. The teachers is usually to deliver of information, and the job of the students is usually to receive this information and relearn it in some form of written test. So we cannot deny the reality that we experience this kind of educational system which we're just being fed by the teacher standing in front of the students. However, in Dewey's view, the teacher should observe the interests of the students, observe the directions they naturally take, and then serve as someone who helps develop problem solving. So from traditional, the view of John Dewey changed everything, that the teacher must just facilitate or just observe the interests of the students and able to direct them, to give them direction on how they are going to enhance their skills by giving them such tasks that they are going to do in a hands-on process. So traditional teaching compared to the idea of John Dewey, or how does the idea of John Dewey reform the traditional teaching? So teacher-centered is the traditional teaching. As we can observe in the picture, a teacher is standing in front of the students, giving information, discussing the information, and the students will just listen and have their evaluation through written tests without doing any in a hands-on process. While the idea of John Dewey is the student-centered or the learner-centered, to which a teacher now or a professor is now just a facilitator and a guide who will guide their students in doing such tasks if they have concern or inquiries, but all the tasks being done by the students in an actual or in an on-hand process. Now, in conclusion, in a classroom based on the ideas of John Dewey, you may see a teachers deliver background content information, but we would also likely see students working in groups. With those groups exploring different concepts within the content, you would see lots of conversation and lots of collaboration. While you may see a written test, you may also see student projects, presentations, or other differentiated techniques of evaluation. So for my last slides, progress is not inevitable. It's up to us to create it. So discover your ability, enhance your capabilities, trust in progress. Once again, this is Marvin Gonzalez Olaje from Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in English, second year student. Thank you for your time of listening.